Field of 68 after dark. Hello and welcome to the Friday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live here on YouTube, streaming on X after UConn's 71-63 win over Texas in the People's Bank Arena, which used to be called the Hartford Civic Center, and I'm only going to call it the Hartford Civic Center here from now on. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jerel McNeal with me. I have Justin Jackson with me. We're going to spend some time previewing some of the big games we have on Saturday. It's a loaded slate: Arizona, Alabama, UCLA, Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Kansas, NC State, Marquette, an 18.5-point dog to Purdue. We're gonna make Jerel tell us whether or not his Golden Eagles can stay within 18.5 points. And we're going to have to break down North Carolina's big clash with South Carolina upstate with our own Justin Jackson here tonight. We're also going to break down some title tiers. I put down my tiers for what I think is probably the top 23 teams in college basketball. I'm going to ask these guys what they think about it and who has a chance to win a national championship. But before we do, let's talk about this UConn Texas result. Final score 71-63. Jerel, Alex Caravan had 18 points. I thought the headline of the first half was Terrace Reed with his 5 assists. Braylon Mullins made a couple shots. Jalen Stewart made a couple shots. But it was another game where UConn got out to a lead and then feels like they kind of threw it into cruise control and just found a way to get it over the line as opposed to stepping on throats and putting people out of their misery. So what do you make of UConn's win? What do you make of this result?
Yeah, I thought Reed was gonna be on triple double watch for a second there, Rob, but I think he finished with 5 assists as well too. So the big fella and just overall, I think the offense in this game kind of slowed down in the second half. In general, again, I thought UConn looked dynamic early on. For the most part, throughout the course of the entire game, their defense was pretty rock solid. It didn't help that Texas isn't exactly the best shooting team, and they really couldn't make a shot or get a consistent flow going offensively. But UConn was executing at a really high level early on in that first half. I felt like really the Longhorns had no real answers to try to slow those guys or stop them. Caravan was solid again, and this was a night essentially where the game got a little bit uglier in the second half. Texas did a better job of taking them out of flow and rhythm in the second half, but just being honest, some of it was just UConn's ability, and they weren't able to make as many shots in the second half. I don't think they hit another 3 until pretty much like the last 3 minutes of that game. When Ball hoisted one up,
40-footer, man.
That was he hoisted one up from like 40 feet, and they finally got one to go. So, I mean, all in all, it's still a good win. Second half wasn't as impressive as the first half, but you also as well, I think you gotta give Texas some credit. I know they haven't necessarily looked great early on, but I do think this team with this roster and just the way that these guys fight, like this was an easy game. That's not an easy place to play home game, a road game in store. That place was loud. They were trying to get home team energy, and they just kept battling back, man. They kept making plays, fighting for extra possessions, and just finding ways at the end of the day. So I think that's going to be a team as well going forward just to keep an eye on as we get in the conference play as well.
Yep. Justin?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off that, I think first you got to give some credit to Texas. I mean, you look at they had 7 assists the whole game. So a bunch of their buckets were just tough. I mean, had a ton of just getting to the mid-range and pulling up over top of people. So they were making some really tough shots. And they fought. Like the one thing that they had mentioned even on the broadcast with the amount of plays that UConn runs with the misdirections, the slips, all that sort of stuff, Texas really didn't put them on the free throw line very much. They just played good, solid defense. So I got to tip my hat to Texas from that standpoint. Man, with UConn, I mean, heck, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I've got UConn not even in the tier below, but as like a true title contender. But it's whenever they play the way they did in the first half. Like there was a play, and I'm a real geek when it comes to like great offensive plays, but there was a play, it was a simple transition play in the first half. And it was basically just a double drag into a flare for Mullins for a 3, but it was like out of just It's not a play call. It's just like a read. And when you do things like that, especially in college, like college kids aren't necessarily able to be ready all the time for certain slips and cuts and things like that. Um, but then the second half, it was just kind of sloppy. A lot of their turnovers too were like unforced. A lot of it was like more of just, you know, being careless with the ball and things like that. But at the same time, you come out with a win against a very hard fighting team in Texas with Solo Ball not really playing great. Um, and shout out to Caravan for another solid night for this UConn Huskies team.
Yeah, I thought the turnovers were a big thing, right? Like that's been one of the things that UConn's been really good with this year is not turning the ball over and not making mistakes like that. They get down towards the end of a clock, and in the second half, it's been a lot of bad shots. That's what happened against Florida. That's what happened in the second half against Illinois. When Illinois was able to climb back into it, that's what happened in the second half against BYU when BYU was able to make that big run. And it feels like they don't quite have that killer instinct yet with this group. What we've seen with past UConn teams is that when they get you down by 10 or 12, they push that to 25. That's what those title teams did. And I don't think this group has quite figured that out yet. Some of it is they're a little bit too reliant on running all that stuff, Justin, like you said. And some of that means instead of being a little bit more aggressive, they kind of run all their sets. And the concept of putting together this team with a guy like Silas Demery was you kind of run all this stuff, then there's 8 seconds left on the shot clock, and now you got a downhill or in the lane and get fouled or get a bucket. And that's kind of where the role that Tristan Newton will play. And I don't think that they have that guy right now because Silas looks like, he just looks out of sync, man. He looks like he's in a situation where he's thinking about everything. When you're running all of these actions, all these sets, you got to be reading and reacting and seeing stuff instead of trying to think about what that next play is going to end up being and where you're supposed to be passing the ball.
Yeah, I think too it's tough.
My bad.
My bad. Go ahead. You got it.
No, go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I think it's tough too because it was a lot of foul trouble. Like I think if you want to say dog is Silas Demery, and he was in and out of the lineup basically all night with foul trouble. And so I think that is to your point, like you have so many good actions, but then at the end of the shot clock, you got to have somebody that can go and just get a bucket, whether it's getting downhill or just get a tough bucket. Now, I will say, Mr. Indiana himself, I think, is something special to watch when it comes to being that guy, maybe at times. But I think that's what's tough about tonight was Demery was just, he played 19 minutes. He was in foul trouble. I go back to the BYU game, which they let the team back in as well. But that game, talk about kind of having that killer instinct. Like I saw it in him in that game. So I don't know. Maybe it is, he's still trying to figure it out. And it's playing for Hurley, I'm sure, is tough.
Yeah.
Getting used to that. Yeah. So I'm sure he's getting used to it a little bit.
I think it's as simple, and Jerel, tell me if you disagree. I think it's as simple as he is kind of stuck between, okay, this is when I'm supposed to be a scorer and I'm going to go get this now. And this is when I'm supposed to set people up. And he hasn't quite figured out when he is supposed to be each of those different roles. And now it's gotten to the point where I think it's something that's in his head. And instead of just like going out and playing, he's trying to do all of these different jobs at the right time. And I think that when you get into that point, it's like you're not going out there and being you and being a competitor and being an athlete. You're trying to do a job. And once he figures out how to do those two things at the same time, I think that's when he hits his stride. And the best part about it, Jerel, is if you look at the Big East right now, they start conference play, UConn does, and they play Butler, DePaul, Xavier, Marquette, Providence, DePaul, Seton Hall, Georgetown, Villanova, Providence, Creighton, Xavier. They might not play another tournament team until February 6th.
That's sad. That's so sad for my conference, though, man. God, but no, and I think number one, I think you made a great point with that, Rob, and he's at a situation right now, and more than anything, that's a feel thing. I would say outside of probably quarterback, point guard. That's why they say it's the hardest position to play in basketball. because it doesn't necessarily come with a specific set of guidelines or rules, but it is a feel thing for him being aggressive, looking for his own shot, knowing when to put his head down and go, and then also just running the plethora of offensive sets and things that they have just to let the offense kind of cook and move the ball and see who comes out with the best opportunity. But like you said, I think as a basketball player, and Justin to kind of be able to speak to this as well too. One of the ways that you get out of that mind frame is just simplifying the game for yourself and going through the process of elimination. Like, I mean, that's one of the things how I always looked at the game. Like, I'm going to score this thing until somebody helps. When somebody helps, then I'm reading rotations. I'm never looking at the guy in front of me. I'm looking at the rotations in the defense on the backside. So I know if help comes from here, I know what my outlet is. If nobody steps up from here, either way, it's going to be a bucket. So I think the game will kind of come back and slow down for him as well, too. But just on that same note, I thought Malachi Smith and Jalen Stewart were fantastic for those guys tonight. Smith had a couple turnovers where I felt like they were really just, not bad turnovers. He had like 2 in the second half where he was trying to get the ball, which wasn't terrible passes to Terrace Reed.
Let's be honest. Those turnovers are on Terrace. Those turnovers were not on Smith. Hey, if they put it on a plate for you and it goes through your hands, that's got to be on the guy that was trying to catch it, man.
You know what the guard telling him, man, you better catch that shit because I'm gonna stop throwing them if you don't. So I mean, I thought his energy, man, and I love him too. I think he was just another great addition as well, man. He's an absolute dog. He's another guard that can get paint touches as well. Him and Jalen Stewart were huge for them tonight, and then jumping back to something that Justin said, and I was gonna jump on that because I got an opportunity to watch some of that kid as well, Mullins in high school, with him just being next door in Indiana. And 100% he's going to be kind of the piece that has the opportunity to kind of unlock them because he can do that. I think people realize that he can shoot the ball and they think he's like a catch, but he's more of a scorer than a catch and shoot guy from everything that I've seen from him. He can put the ball on the deck, he can get to his spots. He's got great size, and we've seen some of it. We're seeing it in flashes right now, but just him being able to get to those spots and raise up over the defense and always be able to get his own shot off. Like that type of stuff is going to be invaluable, especially in the second half of the season when you start talking about conference and tournament play and all of that type of stuff too. So I'm not saying it's going to all happen at once. I think it's going to be a process. He obviously still getting his legs underneath him, and they all kind of just figuring everything out as they continue to get more healthy. But he's going to be a guy where you're going to look up, and I wouldn't be surprised back half of the year if they're putting the ball in his hand at the end of the game either.
Yeah. His shot is weird, Justin. Like when he shoots threes, it's almost like he lets it go and then he jumps after he lets it go. There's I don't know, there's something weird about how it looks, but it goes in. So I'm not complaining about it.
Hey, there's been a lot of guys that were shooters that their mechanics weren't perfect. I'll tell you that. So as long as that thing goes in the hole, it don't really matter how it looks coming, finishing in the follow through. So as long as it goes in, that's all that matters, man.
Yeah, I thought the Malachi's been enormous. He had 9 assists tonight. He had 9 assists against Florida. He had 9 assists against Illinois. He had opportunities to go to high major programs and make a lot more money than he's making right now as a backup. And he decided he wanted to go somewhere to win. And he's going to end up being like, when it comes to value for what you're getting versus what you're paying for, Malachi Smith will be one of the best values that was in the market this year. One last thing I do want to touch on for UConn was Terrace Reed, 12.6 boards, 5 assists, 4 blocks. I thought that the reads that he was making as a passer, Justin, in the first half, that's when Adama Sanogo got to the point where he was able to make those reads as a junior in the 22-23 season. That was the moment when UConn went from being really good to, oh shit, like they're going to end up winning this whole thing. And I'm seeing that now from Terrace. Like he had like 3 backdoors to Alex Carabin. He had one where he was in the post on the far left side of the floor, and he just kind of fired a one-hand pass all the way across the court to Jalen Stewart, who knocked down a 3 in the opposite side corner. Like seeing some of those passes, that is what like, he's normally just a scorer. You throw it in, and I'm going to go try to find a way to muscle this thing into being a layup. And now that he's picking that up a little bit, that opens up UConn's offense quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. First, you've got a big that they have to double, right? I mean, they were doubling basically from the jump. So they don't double. I mean, he's shown what kind of, beast he is on the inside. But now you send a double, and I think to your point, I'll always say offensively, all you're trying to do is create some sort of advantage. And if you have to force a team to put two guys on the ball, if you get a simple pass out, it could be a simple kick out to the guy who just passed it into the post. It could be a skip pass, whatever. Now, for the rest of that possession, unless they have some unbelievable defenders, that defense is going to be in rotations. So you automatically have an advantage. And with the way this team cuts and the off ball stuff that they have within the offense and within the reads that they have, that adds a totally different dynamic to an offense that's already hard to guard in the half court. So if he's able to continue doing that, like Jerel said, he had 5 assists in the first half. Second half, he finished with 5. But if he's able to consistently make those reads, whether it's 5 to 10 times a game, simple reads out of a double team, then now this team is playing basically, 4-on-3 the rest of that possession, and that's going to be tough to guard from other teams.
Yep. I agree. You mentioned Texas earlier. I do just want to hit on them real quick, Jerel. I think the pieces are there. I thought that they defended really well in the second half. I don't think that they're a great defensive team. I don't think that they're a great shooting team. And I think Sean's kind of stuck in between. Okay, I'm going to get a team that's going to try to play pace and space, but he doesn't really have guys that can play fast and shoot the ball, which is a tough situation to be in when you're trying to play that way.
No, yeah, and it is, and I think that's that's probably one of the main things that they truly lack is just consistent shooting from the outside. But obviously, given this being, his first year on the job, like I do like the pieces that he either kind of brought with him with Swain and going to get Tremont Mark, the big fella as well too. Like I think they put
What's
together.
His name? Say his name, Jerel. Say his name.
I'm not even gonna try. What is it? Vocaitis?
Vocatitis. Modest vocatitis.
Damn, vocatitis. So somebody that's gonna be in our intro clip by the next week. So yeah, I'll try to stay away from him. Like, damn, that's brutal. But I mean, I like the pieces that they put together. Obviously, it's gonna take some time as well too from that perspective, just for those guys to mesh, kind of figure out the way or kind of what's gonna be the thing that they're gonna hang their hat on, that they're gonna be able to win games. And in my mind, just the way the roster that they have and the personnel, I think it has to be on the defensive end. But like you said, Rob, early on, they haven't kind of completely figured it out. But I think as those guys buy in and they become more of a pressure and solid defensive team, it'll really help them because they'll be able to get out, get stops, maybe get some easy ones in transition and get some of those guys who can attack downhill in an open court with some space. And obviously that'll always play well also in the SEC. So
yeah. It's it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out, because think about it. If solo ball doesn't hit that 40-foot three, Justin, and if Texas left a bunch of points at the free throw line. There was that one turnover where they got it and they tried to throw the ball ahead to, I think it was Swain, and I think it was Jordan Pope threw it. And it was like watching a quarterback overthrow someone that was open in the end zone by 15 yards. Like he damn near
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, it was. So that was. I mean, they had their opportunities to come back and really make this thing be a win. So the spirit is there, but I don't know if Sean Miller is the kind of guy that cares about moral victories like that at this point.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen him be that kind of coach. So I don't think it's going to change now, just because he's got a different quarter zip on.
Fair enough. Listen, big win for UConn. Their next game is going to be against Butler on Tuesday. They will start Big East play. It's crazy that we're already in like the throes of some of these power conferences starting, man. So a bunch of Big Ten games tomorrow. couple of Big East games are going to get played tomorrow. So it's college basketball season, man. We're here. We're going to be breaking down Saturday's incredible slate of games later on. But when we get back from the break, I have my title tiers, and I'm going to give you guys a tease, and I'm going to explain to you on the other side why I have them there. I don't have UConn in the tier of the true title contenders, and I'm probably going to get some hate for it, but we'll talk it through. That's coming up next. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop. Well, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It is Friday night. We just watched UConn knock off Texas. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Justin Jackson with me. I have Jerel McNeal with me. And one of the coolest stats, I think, in college basketball is that every year since Syracuse won the title in 2003, so starting in the 2003-2004 season, the Week 6 AP poll has had the eventual national champion somewhere in the top 12. That's 21 straight national champions have been ranked in the top 12 of the Week 6 AP poll. I think the reason for that is you kind of get through Feast Week, you get through a lot of non-conference play, and the best teams kind of shake themselves out in that moment. So we decided that we looked at them, and of those 12 teams, which is Michigan, Duke, Arizona, Iowa State, UConn, Gonzaga, Purdue, Houston, Louisville, Michigan State, Alabama, and BYU, I broke down some of my college basketball national title tiers earlier this week. Justin, I'm going to ask you, who would you consider out of that group the real threats, the teams that you would call the favorites to win a national championship?
As of right now, if we're saying true threats, like as far as like I've seen enough to be able to say that they have a chance to win a national championship, easiest answer is Michigan. I mean, heck, they've won by average of 34 over the last 6 since the one game that everybody wants to pick on them about at TCU. But not only that, I think for me the easiest thing to look at is they're number 1 in 2-point percentage defensively at 38. And that tells me, obviously, it shows the size that they have. You can't really score at the rim on this team. So the only way to really beat them is to either get out in transition, which you have to get stops on one end, or you got to knock down a ton of outside shots. So I think Michigan's number 1 for me. Right behind them, though, is Arizona. I just love the mix of players and pieces that they have, having Bradley at the point and having, obviously, Koa Pete, who came out from the jump and showed that he was somebody to be reckoned with. But then all the rest of the pieces, like their offense is, top 10 on Ken Palm. So Arizona, and then I think unfortunately I got to put Duke there. The only question mark for Duke, obviously, for me is how does the point guard role evolve as the season goes on? I think Caleb Foster's doing just fine with everything that he has around him, but I think eventually once you get into the tournament, you've got to have good guard play. And so does Duke have that, and do they continue to get better? But right behind them, I've got Iowa State and UConn. I mentioned UConn. We just talked about them a ton. But Iowa State, man, is a team that I don't think people are really going to say have like a legitimate chance to win a title. But boy, when I watch, everything gives me title, at least Final Four contender. Um, just the way they play defense, like you can't breathe when you play against Iowa State. The way they play defense, they've got, once again, I'm going to repeat it, in my mind, the most underrated basketball player in college basketball, and Joshua Jefferson. They've got veteran guard and Lipsy. And then Momcilovic is really, really playing the best basketball I've seen him play since being in college. So you put all that together, that's a scary team to see in March. So that's kind of the 4 or 5.
So you would
teams
have
I'd say
UConn
are
in
making
that
it
group,
through.
Justin? You'd have UConn in that group?
Man, it's hard for me not to put a Hurley coached team that has pieces like they have into a true title contender. Even though tonight wasn't pretty in the second half, some of the things that they run defensively, I think they'll just continue to get better and better. And then to Jerel's point, as this season goes on, guys are going to continue to get better as far as like a Mullins, a Demery's going to get more confident and more comfortable, and you know what you're going to get from Carabin and Reed. So I got to put them. I got to put them in that top 5.
Yep. Jerel?
And I'm just going, and I'm gonna run them off here, Rob, because number one, I think this was a setup, Justin. He left UConn out almost to force our hand, so we would have to put them in. Yeah. They're definitely one of the teams that's on that line, and I won't even rehash that because Justin just kind of hit everything on the head. It's UConn, it's Michigan, it is, I would say, Duke, I would say Arizona, and I would say Purdue and Iowa State right now. And I think Michigan is that's kind of self-explanatory. Duke as well. Both of those teams have been dynamite all year. Michigan is out here.
How can you beat Michigan? How do you beat Michigan? I want to start with that before we go into the UConn. I'll make my point on UConn in a second. How do you beat this Michigan team? You know, I feel like we kind of had a little bit of this conversation last year, Jerel, with Auburn this early in the year, but Auburn wasn't anywhere near this good this early in the year. Like, is this just going to be something where they win every game by 30 points and we look up in the first weekend of April and they're 40-0, cutting down nets for the third time this season?
No, it's they can't play at the level that they've played at all year. I don't think that's realistic. Just from the outside looking in, when they built the team, and we even said this, I remember you kind of saying it early on in the year, just like, I don't know if the 3 big lineup and that type of stuff is going to work. But it's not necessarily even about that
right now, doesn't it?
I think the biggest thing was just we were all a little bit concerned about the outside shooting and the perimeter play. They obviously got some guys that can do it, but if those guys are going to make shots and they're going to play the right way and they're going to get after it on the defensive end, and they got 2 7'3", 6'9", 6'10", 6'8", 6'9" super freaks behind them at the rim, protect them. It's going to be hard to beat them, and I think that's one of the most impressive things. I think Dusty May has done a great job of making it tough on the defensive end for these other people that he's been playing against, man. And that length really bothers people, and they kind of get an opportunity to play downhill the other way, and everybody's kind of just playing free. And they got a guy who looks like he's on the mission to show that he's the best player in the country as well, too. So, I think Michigan is going to be a team that's going to be there all year, but I don't think they'll be able to keep up doing it at the same rate that they've been doing it. We know that some of these conference games are going to get close, they're going to get ugly, and people are going to kind of start scheming some stuff up for them as well, too.
I hope so. They got Maryland, LaSalle, McNeal State, USC, Penn State, Wisconsin, Washington, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, and Nebraska before they play at Michigan State. So it's there might be a while where they're just beating the brakes off of some of these teams. I
didn't know the schedule lined up like that, Rob.
Yeah, they might be undefeated headed into a game at Michigan State, which would be fun. So when I put this together, I had the true title contenders, meaning the 4 teams that I thought were capable of winning a national championship and had put together everything they need to do, like kind of found their form. And I said that the next group, the next 5 teams, belonged in that top tier, but they hadn't quite gotten to the point where they deserve to be in that top tier, if that makes sense. For Gonzaga, it's kind of they're trying to figure out what's going on with the point guard spot. With Houston, I think that the issue that they have is without Juwan Roberts, they kind of lost like the offensive pop they had in their front court. And Chris Senac, I think, will get there. I don't think he's quite there yet. With Louisville, they can beat anybody in the country, but I also think that when you're looking at the size that a Duke has, a size that a Michigan has, and you're asking Javon Hadley and Kason Pryor to deal with some of those big burly foremen, they're a little bit small. And then Purdue, obviously, like they're awesome, but you put a little length and athleticism on them, and you run into some issues. My thing with UConn is I watched too much of it, but there's a lot of things I think that they got to figure out when it comes to getting solo ball right, getting Silas Demery right. I think they've kind of figured out Darius Reed. He's healthy now. It looks like he's moving a lot better. Getting Braylon Mullins like really clicking. So I think that by February they'll kick into gear. But right now, I don't think that they are at the level that those top 4 teams are. I think they'll get there. Michigan State, Alabama, BYU. Michigan State can't shoot. Alabama is injured and doesn't really have size. They're kind of like Louisville, but not quite as dangerous as Louisville. And then BYU, I mean, they look great in the second half of games. They look great when AJ DeBonsa is going for 22 and 5 in a second half. But why are you down by 20 to Clemson, right? Why are you down by 22 to UConn? You got to be better than that. Let me ask you guys this then. If there is going to be someone that breaks this streak, Justin, I know who you're going to say, so we're going to come to you second on this. Jerel, if there's somebody that breaks this streak, who do you think it could be? I wrote down a couple of teams. I have 8 teams that I think are kind of like dark horses: Kansas, Illinois, Florida, Arkansas, the Heels, the Tar Heels,
go ahead and say
Texas Tech,
it.
Vandy, and UCLA. Those are the 8 teams that I think have a legitimate chance to be able to win 4 or 5 or 6 games. Which one of those? You got to pick one of them. Which one of those teams do you think can win a national championship and break this streak? The most likely to.
I'll say, well, I got 2 for you because I'm gonna be a bit of a homer here with the
You're gonna be that guy, huh?
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna say Marquette if that's what you're thinking. But I think I still believe somewhat in Texas Tech. I don't think they got off to a great start, but production is really high. I think they got, if not the premier, but one of the best front court players in the country, obviously, in JT Toppin. And Anderson has made great strides as well this year. He was a guy that was around last year, but I think he's averaging close to like 20 and like 6 assists or something like that. So he's been huge as well too. But I still think that's a team, once they kind of figure it out on the defensive end and what they need to do as far as that defending and rebounding, that they're going to be a team that's going to be really good, especially in the second half of the season, and they'll have enough talent to be considered a realistic title contender. And the second one, I gotta say, and call me crazy because they have looked like absolute shit early on, but St. John's, that same kind of schedule that you were talking about with the Big East kind of being down this year. St. John's is gonna have to play the same thing outside of them having to play UConn. They're going to get a good amount of time to kind of figure it out. And that's not to say it's going to be easy. It's still going to be battles, but they're going to have winnable games. They're going to be able to stack some wins. They're going to kind of be able to get into a rhythm. And maybe at some point, or maybe it's just my faith in Coach Pitino, but at some point I think he's going to figure it out, get those guys to buy in and start guarding somebody.
Do me a favor real quick.
Yep.
You got your cup with you, Jerel? Hold up your cup. What? You got it.
It's coffee. I promise.
What do you got in there?
It's not Irish
You got,
coffee.
you got a little Jameson in that coffee.
I'm going St. John's, man. It's a little
St.
big,
John's.
some Big East love.
That's a bold play.
Yeah, St. John's. I don't know about that one. All right, Justin, go ahead. State your case for your Tar Heels.
State my case, man. I don't gotta state my case. I mean, I first want to say that I think you did a great job on the don't count them out list. But I mean, North Carolina, man, like they got in my opinion, obviously, besides the monsters that Michigan has, they probably have, the best duo as far as the 4 or 5 in Caleb Wilson and Henry Vasar. They got Seth Triple coming back soon, which I think adds a completely different dynamic to a team that's already pretty good. And I think it's just it's one of those teams that you don't necessarily want to see. Like Caleb Wilson puts so much pressure on you, gets so many guys in foul trouble. They've got some shooting and some decent guard play now around Seth Trimble. That's not like how we've seen, in the last couple years with an RJ Davis, who is, more of a scorer, but not a ton more outside of that. So I mean, I like, especially going through an ACC, which is better this year. But I think they can do, some numbers in the ACC. So I wouldn't be shocked realistically if they're there. I'd say right now I'd probably put them like a Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8 type team. But I think the other, which I know it
Can I
feels
say
like
real
a
quick on
ton of
Carolina? One thing real quick. The silver lining, and we talked about this when the injury happened with Trimble, was that it was going to allow other guys a chance to get some minutes. Do you know who's been awesome since that injury? Derek Dixon. He had 14 the other night against Georgetown. He had the 2 like game clinching plays against Kentucky. Their only game where he struggled was against Michigan State, and I'm going to judge nobody for struggling against Michigan State as a freshman. Like that is a very, very good team. Getting him going and taking some of that pressure off Kyan Evans, taking some of that pressure off of Seth Trimble. Like the dude's a stud. Like I remember watching him with Takeover last year, being like, that's the guy. Like that guy is going to go to Carolina and he's going to be a 4-year player there. And by his junior year, he's going to be all conference, might be all American as a senior. He's a stud. And he's started to kind of piece some things together there as a freshman.
Yeah, he's just a winner. Like I was back there this past off season this summer and played some pickup and stuff like that. I didn't really know who he was at the time. But after playing pickup, it was like, okay, who is this guy? Like he's so steady. He doesn't really make a ton of mistakes. He knocks down open shots. He takes what the defense gives him. He plays solid defense, especially for a freshman point guard. And so I think to your point, like the more confident that he is, it takes the pressure off of now Kyan Evans feeling like he has to run the show as the main point guard. Now you can allow Seth to not necessarily be the point guard per se. Now he can just be the aggressive, get downhill, get 2 feet in the paint, be aggressive from that standpoint. And defensively, he can just focus on locking down whoever the other team best player is. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like just he gives everybody else a little more freedom to just be who they are with him stepping into that role. But I think I'm still really intrigued because when I look at it, I look at like matchups as far as who's going to be at the top. So if we look at like a Michigan, let's say Michigan is on the other side.
I think I
The
know what you're going to
team
say here, and I agree entirely with it. I
the
agree
team
entirely
that
with it.
sticks out to me still is Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the reason I say that is because if you look at the way the lineup is set up, it's the exact same as Michigan, the exact same.
Yep.
Now, does Lee get better as the season goes on? Does Boogie Flan, does he get a little bit better, more consistent? Like those are the question marks for me. But man, that would be a battle seeing those 3-headed monsters going at each other for an entire 40 minutes. So that's why I'm not counting them out from that standpoint because, in my opinion, they're the only real team that can truly match up to the size with Michigan, maybe besides Illinois. But as far as like matchup wise, like everybody matches up the same. So
the crazy part about it is, like, Lee and Fland are struggling, but if you talk to that staff, what they'll tell you is that they are getting the shots that they want from those guys. Like the stuff that Lee's doing, he's getting that's the game plan. They put together this roster to get those shots for that dude. They put together this roster to get the shots that Boogie Fland is getting right now. And if you look at what those guys have done throughout their careers, they are much better shooters than what we are seeing in this moment. So if they get back to, like, if they regress to the mean, if Xavier Lee is a 35% 3-point shooter the rest of the way, and Boogie Fland is a 36% 3-point shooter the rest of the way, which is what they've done in their careers, then Florida is going to be very, very, very good. I'll throw one more in there. I think Arkansas has been, like, really underrated this year. I'm still very much in on Illinois. I love Kai Boswell. If Joshua Jefferson is the most underrated player in college basketball, Kai Boswell is runner up. But you're telling me that I can get a Kansas team that has maybe the best player in college basketball in Darren Peterson, that is coached by a guy that has won 2 national championships. The most recent one was in 2022, and has spent the last month learning how to play without having that stud out there on the floor, who is already elite defensively, whose only issue has been, you know what, at the end of the clock, we don't really have anyone to go to. And now we have Darren Peterson back from his injury. I'm telling you, man, Kansas, don't write off Kansas yet at this point. I think, and we got to get to a break here in a second, but I think at this point in the season, if you look at those top, like, 17, 18 teams, there's significantly more talent on those teams in, like, the 15 to 18 range than I can ever remember there being. Like that, if Florida is the 15th best team in the country, which is what they are on KenPom right now, this is a ridiculous year of basketball, Jerel.
No, yeah, it is, and a team like that, like, all of these guys got great pieces. Specifically, just speaking of, like, just like y'all talking about the Florida team. For me, the biggest thing with that team is just the defensive end. It's almost a 180 from what they had last year. Like, you know what I'm saying? Lee and Boogie Fland fit kind of more into that Walter Clayton mode. Like, you know what I mean? Like, offensive oriented, but man, he had fucking Elijah Martin and Will Richard next to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, on the defensive end, those dudes were dogs, man. They were strong. They were older dudes, and they got after people. So not only was it hell getting past the primary defender on the perimeter, but then you got 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" behind them after that. So, I mean, I think they'll be okay. I just don't think they'll ever be as good defensively. Jumping back again, and I just got a short one for UNC won't reach their full potential, Justin, until we get Caleb into some Jordans. That's all I got on the matter. That's all I got on the matter. So I can't help myself. Like, that's the way my mind works. I'm just like, man, the shit's not gonna be right until he got on the Jumpman logo. They're not gonna reach the full potential. But I'll leave it at that. The young fella got to get his money. They paying him a lot of money for that. So, but I think UNC will be good. Obviously, when Trimble gets back as well too, is gonna be big. And just the Kansas thing, it's like, I don't think anybody is batting the eye at the fact that Darren Peterson is top 3 players in the country, maybe arguably 1, obviously, but somebody is going to have to see them come March. And like you said, with Bill Self, Big Badunga around the rim, who has come on and looked great this year. I think Trey White has been invaluable and has been playing out of his mind, especially after Darren Peterson went down for an extended time as well too. So those guys are figuring it out. They're getting confidence throughout the process of that for those other role guys. So they do feel they will, once it's nut cutting time, they'll be able to feel like they can make plays and make big shots and things like that. And then you're gonna have a guy that's an absolute nightmare at the end of the game, in the shot clock situations, probably the best scorer in college basketball, possibly as a freshman. So it'll be interesting to see. They're definitely a team where it's like, you don't want to see them on your side of the bracket in March, like, for sure, with fully healthy, and all right, who got Peterson? That's the team that you don't want to see for sure. So they definitely got a shot. I do think the talent is up a whole lot more over the last couple of years, Rob. So it's been a fun year early on.
Hey, Jerel, how much would you have to get paid to go to Carolina and have access to basically any pair of Jordans that you want and have to go wear New Balance? How much would I have to pay you for that?
Listen, I don't think I would be so worried. Like, and this is partially me too, because obviously y'all, I'm a Chicago. Like, I know MJ is pissed. Like, God, like I wouldn't want to piss MJ off. And MJ is like the pettiest dude on earth. Like, damn, I wouldn't want to go to Carolina and not be able to wear J's. He probably gonna be off you for like ever. Like, yeah, you came to Carolina and you wear motherfucking shoes. Like, that's the type of like, if I'm sure Justin has, but like, man, you meet Jordan, like, man, he's like one of them type of dudes too, man. I would not want to do that. It's almost like sacrilegious.
You came to Carolina and you wore the Cooper flag. That's probably not exactly what
Oh
you
man,
want
you
to
put
do,
on
right?
the C flag ones.
Listen, we gotta get to a break. We're gonna preview a great Saturday in college basketball coming up next here on the Field of 68 After Dark. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Well, welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark. We are here previewing Saturday's college basketball slate. We're going to start off with what I think is probably the most interesting game of the day, and that is Arkansas against Texas Tech. I was much higher on Texas Tech in the preseason than I was on Arkansas, and I am sitting here today feeling like I probably should have been higher on Arkansas than on Texas Tech. Justin, what do you make of this matchup? Darius Acuff against Christian Anderson. John Calipari against Grant McCaslin. I think this is going to be a really, really fun one for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious headline. You've got JP Toppin, obviously averaging 21 and 12, first team All American preseason. Probably will be first or second once the season ends. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Christian Anderson, who's coming off a big time game, their last outing, how he plays against those two freshmen that are over there on the other side, and Acuff, and heck, throw Malik Thomas in there. And how does he, I mean, right now he's averaging about 7 assists a game. So besides the 19, 20 points, he's also basically running the show for Texas Tech. And then on the other side, I'm with you. Like, Arkansas is such an interesting team from the standpoint of you've got those freshman guards, somebody that if we're going to keep on talking about underrated, throw in Billy Richmond for me with Arkansas. Now, he doesn't have as much of an impact as those other guys that we talk about. But you've got guys everywhere that just play hard, athletic, physical. And it's two teams that don't have a ton of size. So I'm very interested to see how this game goes, up and down game. Does it become a defensive battle with those guards? How does all that translate between these two teams? So I'm excited to see this one.
Yep, it's getting played in the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Jerel. As of this moment, Texas Tech is a 2.5-point favorite. The total is 153.5. I love this Arkansas backcourt. I think that with Acuff and Malik Thomas, you got a guy who is more of a set the table kind of point guard, and I think that he's proven himself to be kind of a creator, not just a guy that's only got to score in Darius Acuff. And then Malik Thomas, there's something herky jerky about his game. Right, like it's not the most aesthetic game, but he just gets buckets. I don't know how they go in. I don't know how he does what he does. It's very like he has violent movements. You know how there's guys that are just smooth when they move. There's nothing smooth about Malik Thomas. It's violence every time he makes a cut, makes a shot, and it works, man. He's a dog.
Yeah, and I think it was really cool because I actually got a chance to work with both of those guys last year at the Nike Academy as well too, and specifically League. I love him. He's just a awesome kid too, Pittsburgh kid if I'm not mistaken. But just a ball of energy, like the same way he plays and he kind of moves on the court like you were just talking about. That's like his personality, Rob. Like he's on go. Nothing is just like take it easy, take it light. Like he's amped up, he's locked in, he's ready to go. But he's super talented, rangy, like 6'5", 6'6", long arms. A little bit of a kind of some funky mechanics, but can shoot the ball, can handle it, can score it. Just a good basketball player. And then Acuff, I think that was one of the kind of knocks on him coming out was just that he was, number one, he's a smaller compact guard, but he is a point guard, man. But, a lot of people kind of chastise him a little bit because it was like his scoring ability. But he is a guy who, again, just a maestro in pick and roll situations. And, we see it at this day and age, especially for the point guards in the college game that dominate. They're all really good pick and roll guys, and they have all the answers within the pick and roll. He can shoot it behind the screen. He can finish. He got float. He got in between game. And he can make all the passes. He's a headache, and I think Coach Cal has done a great job early on of just helping him find that balance. Because they need him to score too. He's him and Thomas are the leading scorers, but they also need him to generate quality shot opportunities for some of those other guys. I think Brazil has been great as well too. But I think I'm interested to see this
in the chat. It's a little bit like shout out to Martin Robert in our chat. He said it's a little bit like the Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox dynamic that Kentucky had in 2017. And I
like that. I do like that. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. That's actually a really good one.
Give me a prediction.
I got Texas. I'm taking Texas Tech.
Texas Tech laying 2.5.
I think they cover. Yeah, I think they cover that.
Yeah. Justin?
I think I'm gonna take Arkansas. I think Arkansas's others are gonna be maybe a little bit better than Texas Tech's others. So yeah, give me Arkansas.
Give me the Hogs money line. I think that they win this game outright. The only thing I'm concerned about is JT Toppin going up against Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle. I think that this might be JT is prone to go for like 38 and 17 every once in a while.
That's what I'm thinking too, Rob.
So we'll see. But Christian Anderson against that backcourt is going to be a lot of fun. So I like Arkansas in this spot. Arizona, Alabama. It's the nightcap. It's at 9:30. It's in Birmingham on ESPN. Right now, Alabama playing in what will be a de facto whole game, Jerel, is going to be getting 1.5. Now, they've been a little bit banged up here in recent games. Let me just check to make sure who is kind of expected to play. They got Latrell Wrightsell back in their last game, and Jaleel Bethea has been back. Aiden Holloway, I think, is day-to-day, and then the other kid, Tristan Bristow, I can't remember his name.
It's Bristow.
But he's day-to-day as well, so I don't know if there's an official report yet on those guys coming back. But if they are healthy, this is going to be a really difficult matchup for Arizona's guards.
Yeah, and I think I would I mean, when they're healthy, and I know they've been kind of dealing with it or going through it, but I'm interested to see that, and I do think that's a difficult matchup for Arizona. But if they're not, uh, I think they might be in trouble as well. like you know, what I mean, if 2 or 3 of those guys don't come out and suit up, then Arizona might go at them in this game, because I think they've been great all year long too. Bradley has been fantastic. Obviously, we know the freshman core Pete as well too. But man, their front court got the ability to beat you up, and you know, I mean, and Alabama's gonna have to do something to kind of nullify that in the end. So, if they're held, either way, I think I'm taking Zona. I'm gonna take Zona on the road on this one. So,
Yep. Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arizona just has too much inside for this Alabama team. But man, Phylon versus Bradley is going to be a fun
it's gonna
matchup.
be fun.
That is going to be a fun matchup to watch. And heck, just the difference in, like, I mean, heck, Alabama just bombs threes all game. I think Arizona's averaging like 15 or 16 3 attempts a game. So it's like the different styles of play going against each other. But I'm excited to see those guards. Heck, I'll throw Holloway in there if he does play. Those guards match up with Bradley and what Arizona has on the other side. But I just think Koa Pete, the rest of the bigs that they have, I just don't know if Alabama has like what it takes as a whole to be able to kind of sustain that for 40 minutes. But I'm excited. That game's gonna be a fun game to watch.
I think the key is going to be monitoring the status of Aiden Holloway, right? Nate Oates said he thinks Taylor Bowen is going to play. Aiden Holloway will be a game time decision, and Keaton Bristow, it looks like that is going to be a little bit more iffy as well. But if Aiden Holloway plays, like, the goal of this is going to be, you got a team that wants to play pace and space and might even go 4 guards and bomb a bunch of threes, and you got an Arizona team who really all they want to do is pound the ball inside. Right, they are 363rd in 3-point rate in college basketball, and Alabama is 7th in 3-point rate. You can't get much more polar opposite when it comes to what these two teams want to do on the offensive end. But if you don't have Aiden Holloway, I think it's a game changer for Alabama. So I will be taking Arizona as well, because even, I mean, you guys have dealt with wrist injuries before, right? Like, that's going to be, if you're a shooter and you're dealing with the bum wrist, like, that's not something that's going to be good. We're going to get into the afters here. We'll do Toast of the Night after we finish these previews. We got like 4 or 5 more games that I just want to make sure that we touch on here a little bit for about the next 10 or 15 minutes. And then we will get out of here on a Friday night. But let's get to it, Dagan. Let's get to the afters.
These my DJ Burns shades I had for.
That was like you're taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die got to be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
All right, we are back. It is the afters here on the Field of 68 After Dark. We got a couple more games that I want to preview here. We're going to start UCLA Gonzaga in a game where Mick Cronin, who is now 65 years old, spent all week complaining about how late this game is going to end up being. They are playing it in Seattle, so it'll probably be majority Gonzaga fans, but it's not going to be played in Spokane. You know, UCLA's been a little bit banged up. Tyler Bilodeau has missed a little bit of time. Donovan Dent might as well has been missing some time. He hasn't exactly been anywhere near 100% in terms of how well he's played this year. What do you make of this matchup? Is this one where Justin Gonzaga figures out a way to kind of get back rolling and get back to being who they are, which is a team that apparently just beats the brakes off of everybody except for Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga, to me, you know, going back to the tiers that we had, they're right there below the title contenders. We talked about it before. Michigan was just an awful matchup for them, awful. And so now going against a UCLA team that's struggled, you know, their number one guy, Dent, really hasn't been I think, what everybody truly expected to this point. But I think having Bilodeau back, I think, is going to be huge for him. But I see Gonzaga winning this one and kind of getting that mojo back a little bit.
I'm going with the Zags as well too. And so and I was just sitting here thinking about this when you said it as well too, Justin. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. Just from a hypothetical, or not a hypothetical standpoint, because it actually happened and Michigan beat the hell out of them. You would think this would actually be a solid matchup for the Zags, because again, I feel like they're one of the only teams where man for man they can actually kind of match up with Michigan. With Braden Huff and Ike and Tyron Grant Foster. Like, I don't know, just from the and don't get me wrong, it wasn't a very close game. It was non-competitive. The game was over pretty much, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before halftime. But you would think from just from a man to man, I don't know. It's weird. It's like 3 or 4 teams where it's like the front courts are kind of loaded or amazing, and the Zags is one of them. Like, I'm taking them to win this game. They've been fantastic all year, and really probably the next most dominant team outside of Michigan in that game that they lost. So I think that kind of put everybody else on alert after Michigan did that. Then they ran off like 2 more after that by like 30. So yeah, I think Gonzaga gets this one. I think they're a little bit too physical. They got too much inside probably for UCLA. They average 10 more rebounds as a team than UCLA does. So, and that's been an issue for them all year. So I'm taking the Zags in this one. But just the errant thought I was thinking about as we talked about it.
Yeah, the line here is 10.5. I actually think that I like UCLA plus the 10.5. I don't know if they're going to win, but 10.5 is a lot of points for a game where UCLA is going to want to try to slow this thing down a little bit and kind of what they do defensively. I think that if you look at Bilodeau and Eric Daly and Xavier Booker and some of the size that UCLA has, I think they should, at least on paper, be able to kind of hold their own a little bit against the Gonzaga's bigs. And Donovan Dent's got to get right at some point, right? Like he was arguably the best point guard in the portal this summer. And he has not exactly played like a guy that looks like the best point guard coming back to Los Angeles, where he's from. So I think that this is a moment where UCLA gets up for this game. They're ready for it, even though it's going to be a little bit late on the West Coast, and Mick Cronin might be falling asleep on the sidelines there. I think UCLA finds a way to be able to get this one done. So I like him plus 10.5 in this spot. Kansas, NC State. We talked about Darren Peterson earlier, Jerel. He's going across the country. He's going to Raleigh. He's going to the Lenovo Center, and they are taking on Will Wade's NC State team. Kansas is getting 2.5 points in this spot. They are plus 125 on the money line to win this game on the road. The last time Kansas was in North Carolina, Justin knows what happens. It wasn't the prettiest thing in the world for the Jayhawks. But I'll say it right now. Give me Kansas. Give me the money line. Give me the underdogs on the road. Give me Darren Peterson going nuts in this game. I think that's what we see.
I'm with you on that one, and I don't think they necessarily have a great matchup for them. So it won't. I don't think it'll be easy. Obviously, it'll be a tough game with them having to travel and go to Carolina. But I don't know. Something hasn't exactly meshed perfectly either with NC State. They kind of been. I don't know. And I'm not gonna say they've been disappointed, because it wasn't like expectation was through the roof, but. With some of the guys and names that they kind of acquired through the portal and coming into Will Wade's first year, I thought they was going to probably catch their stride a little bit faster, but it ain't going to be no rest for the weary with this one. So, because you got a guy like Darren Peterson coming in, and you're going to have to scheme up something, to figure something out to try to slow him down, especially with the way that some of those other guys have been playing already coming into this too. So it should be a good exciting game, but I'm going Kansas.
Yeah, give me Kansas money line. I I mean, I think the way that these
I'm
teams just match
shocked.
up,
I'm shocked the guy from Carolina is betting against North Carolina. I never would have seen
I
that
mean,
one
that
coming.
that just makes it even sweeter to say, "Give me Kansas money line." Darian Williams, obviously from Texas Tech transfer, he's NC State's best player. Trey White matching up against him, I think is going to be a big time matchup.
Good matchup.
And then anytime I think that's why it makes Kansas so dangerous is because anytime they step on the floor, I'll say maybe other than one other game, like they have the best player on the floor, bar none. So when you have that, and then obviously we talk about it, you have a team that's more confident, guys had bigger roles and were able to kind of see what they could do. Coach Self, obviously a Hall of Fame coach, being able to see that as well. And, I'm sure he's been nonstop, just basically coming up with game plans of now Peterson, but how does everybody else fit around him now that he's seen what everybody else is capable of? Give me Kansas money line. I think they go into PNC Arena, and I think they come out with a win.
Yeah, the couple of interesting storylines here is Darren Williams came down to NC State and Kansas when he was deciding where to commit. And he ultimately ended up committing to NC State instead of going to Kansas when a lot of people thought that he was going to end up going to Kansas. There's a kid named Paul Mbaya who is a Senegalese guy from the NBA Academy that played in France, who was committed to NC State, decommitted from NC State, and is now playing at Kansas. And then Cole Rosario is a Carolina kid who ended up reclassifying and going to Kansas. So a lot of drama, man. A lot of drama in this one. And I think Kansas finds a way to be able to take advantage of that. Here's the interesting one to me. Indiana takes on Kentucky. This is 7:30 tomorrow. When this game was scheduled, I was like, this is going to be the biggest game of the day on Saturday, December 13th. And then over the course of the last 2 weeks, it's kind of gotten to the point where like it's almost an afterthought. It's not. I'm much more intrigued by the Nebraska-Illinois game that's tipping off at the same time, Justin, than Indiana-Kentucky, which is crazy to say. Kentucky is a 3.5-point favorite 7 days after losing by 35 to Gonzaga in de facto home game. Talk me out of taking my mortgage payment and putting it on Indiana money line and Rupp Arena. Justin. Talk me out of it, please.
Oh, man. I feel like Kentucky has just gotten absolutely just blown up. Rightfully so. $22 million is a lot of money. But 3.5 points, man, in Rupp Arena. Give me Kentucky. I think I think one thing that I'll hold on to is the fact that Mark Pope is such a good coach. Okay. I was looking at something today and I didn't even realize last year they had won the most top 15 games in NCAA history. Now, obviously you have to have talent. You've got to have players, but a lot of that goes back to the coaching as well. And I think if there is a way to find something to click for Kentucky, I think Mark Pope has the capability. And so, it's an old rivalry game, but it's in Rupp Arena. We know how college works when it comes to home games. Heck, I thought the Wisconsin-Nebraska game was going to be a decent game, and they went in there and got beat up. So, give me Kentucky. I'll take Kentucky minus 3.5. I'll ride with them in this game.
Jerel?
I'm with you on, because listen, and this is still, if this thing is remotely close with 10 minutes to go in the second half, it's going to be the most watched game still, Rob, and it's going to get really interesting because Kentucky fans and the pressure is on. Like if I'm Indiana, like you kind of playing with house money. Wilkerson just dropped like 40 in 20 minutes his last out. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like the setup is kind of perfect. Like Kentucky is not, they've been terrible. It's a lot of a lot of outside noise. People talking about how much guys are getting paid and they miss guys they're missing guys who were a big piece of what they planned to do early on in the year, and they've been losing and kind of getting their asses handed to them. So pressure's going to be on if this thing is even remotely close. But I got to imagine that these guys respond and they just go out and try to take it to Indiana right from the jump. So, but if it's close at all, make no mistake about it, the pressure is going to be on Kentucky. And like I said, Indiana's kind of playing with house money. But man, it should be a good game. I'm hoping for a good game because it's clearly two of the biggest brands in the sport as well. So,
yeah, I think I'm going Indiana here. My gut take is that what'll happen is Kentucky's going to come out playing nervous. They're going to play tight. They're going to be aware of the boos that they heard when they were in Nashville last weekend. They're going to know that the amount of pressure that's on them. And I just don't think that they have the leadership in terms of personality in the locker room or the leadership in terms of what we're going to see on the court to be able to withstand it. I think that there's going to be a lot of nerves involved. And, if Indiana comes out and bangs a couple threes early and gets out to like a 7-2 lead, like I think that you can see that thing crumble again. I don't think that feels like it's a little bit of a house of cards with Indiana. So I'm sorry, with Kentucky. So I'm going Indiana, man. Remember, Lamar Wilkerson just had 44 points in 23 minutes I know it was against Penn State.
Shout out to him.
44 points in 23 minutes is a lot of points and not a lot of minutes. Nebraska, Illinois. Illinois is laying 9.5. I asked. Oh, the game's at the game's at 4:00 apparently instead of being at 7:30. But whatever. Okay, I don't care about. Not worried about that. Illinois laying 9.5 points. Jerel, talk me into laying 9.5 points with Illinois. Talk me into why this spread is as big as it should be. I feel like Nebraska is not getting the respect they deserve to be getting right now.
And I want to give it to them, but it just, I don't know. It kind of feels similar to the same song every year with Nebraska. And I'm just being honest. They've had teams over the last year or two where I felt like man for man they may be better. I'm not sure if the pieces fit better than they do this year, but this has been one of the issues. It's just they have a hard time winning outside of being in Nebraska. So I don't know. I don't feel great about their chances. Obviously, Illinois is going to be a specific kind of opponent as well too, with the way that they play and just their roster as well too. So if they come out and they can't make shots or make any threes, then obviously they'll have a chance. But those guys making threes and kind of just flowing in their offense like they usually do, I think it's hopping. That's weird to say because I don't think they're a great defensive team, but I think they'll be good enough to be able to slow Nebraska down, being at home as well too. So, yeah, I mean, I will roll with it. Trev said roll with it, so I'm rolling with it, Rob.
Hey, listen, if Trevor says it, man,
Whatever Trev says, baby,
you got to go with it. It's Nebraska's first road game, and they're walking into what is it? Assembly Hall, the State Farm Center, whatever it's called, the Champagne Room. Is it called the Champagne Room?
The Champagne Room.
Can Nebraska go in there and get a win? What do you think?
I'll be honest, man, Trevor. I got to go against you on this one. I think it could get, if Nebraska does not come out hot, I think it could kind of get ugly for Nebraska. When I say ugly, I think Illinois could go 10, 15, put 10 or 15 on Nebraska. Not because Nebraska's not a good basketball team, but it is first true road game. The size of Illinois, I think, is going to cause some issues for the size of Nebraska. And when you have a shooting team, when your team is based on shooting and you go on the road, it's almost inevitable that you're not going to shoot the same that you did at home. And if they don't shoot the same, I think Boswell, Stojakovic, heck, all the pieces that they have, I think they take care of this one pretty easily. What was the line? 9.5?
Yep.
I might go minus 9.5. I ain't gonna lie to you. Respectfully,
So
Trevor.
you're not against Trevor. You're with Trevor.
No, Yeah, no, yeah, Trevor, my bad. Respectfully, I'm with you.
Respectfully, I'm with you. I think Justin needs to go to bed. I think I need to go to bed. All right, we're going to call it here. We're going to call it here. Seton Hall, Rutgers. Seton Hall's going to win by 25. Like, let's be honest. Seton Hall's the second best team in the Big East. Seton Hall is a wagon.
Whoa.
I don't think it's going to.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit more.
Maybe it is time to go to sleep, boys.
They might win by 30. Jerel, this is how we're going to end the show. I need you to tell me how Marquette is going to go into Mackey Arena tomorrow with John Fanta on the call and knock off Purdue. Tell me how. Break it down for me.
Look, we got good vibes coming into it because my guy Fanta's on the call. So, hey, that might be the best.
Start with the vibes. You have to start with
vibes are high. Anytime
the vibes
you get
gotta
Fanta,
be high. They gotta be high.
Anytime you get Fanta courtside, vibes are gonna be high. But hey, man, this has been a rough year. I feel bad for those guys because I feel like they're taking a lot of shit right now, obviously, and some of it is somewhat performance based. So I get it, but they got a lot of guys who are in their first year playing significant minutes. So at some point, I keep hearing the whispers that's like they want to get the stuff from practice to translate into the games when the lights are on. So. What better time than now to do it? Going into it, kind of playing with house money. I seen something on Twitter that said this is the biggest dog we've been since like the 90s or something like that. I'm not sure the validity of it, or how true it is, but I'm not. Marquette Nation isn't used to this.
Twitter, it's 100% correct.
It's 100% true. Right? Whatever I read. You gotta bet these sources a little bit farther. So man, look, I'm keeping hopes high. I'll be tuned in. Or flipping back and forth through some of these games, and you gotta go in and we've played Purdue well in years past, but it's a different team, so we'll see what happens.
All right, well, there you have it. Let's end this with toasts of the night. Jerel, who you got? Who are we toasting tonight?
I gotta go. I gotta double back and go to Smith, Malachi Smith. I thought he played tremendous tonight for the Huskies, and obviously that was really the only game that we had on that was really worth watching. So he was really good. 9 assists off the bench, helped them and kind of saved them, especially with Demery being in some foul trouble and not playing the best tonight. So that's my toast.
There you go, Justin.
You know what? I think it's the SoCon. My toast is going to be to the Austin P Governors. Beating ETSU tonight. I think they were 4 or 5 point underdog. Put them at 5-5 on the season. Shout out to Austin P, man. The Governors.
Nice.
You can tell that you're now living in East Tennessee because they're talking about an Austin P East Tennessee State game. That must have been a big over there. The town that TO built is what we call it, right?
No. Don't let TO. I wish he was on here. Do not let him lie to y'all much longer. The woman that I'm married to, her family, it's the town that they built. So, but I mean, in case y'all didn't notice, it wasn't a very strong slate of games tonight. So, yeah, that's why I had to go. The Governors. Shout out to the Governors, man.
Austin P. I got a T-shirt from Home Field that says it's an Austin P T-shirt that just says "Let's Go P," and I think it's my favorite T-shirt that I have. My toast is going to go out to the Xavier Musketeers and Richard Pitino. They've kind of turned things around here. They've now won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. They beat Missouri State tonight. They have a win over Cincinnati in that run. They have a win over West Virginia in that run. It looked like it might get ugly for this program, and they've turned it into something where they got a chance to maybe make a little bit of noise here. You got Creighton at home, at Georgetown, and UConn, your first 3 games in the Big East. So let's see what Xavier can do and what Richard Pitino can do there. Listen, we're going to have a big day tomorrow. 12 straight hours of college basketball. Field of 68 After Dark will be live at 11 o'clock, Dagan? Midnight? 11:30 tomorrow night. Field of 68 After Dark will be live. here on YouTube and on X. So for Justin Jackson, for Jerel McNeal, for Dagan Hughes and Trevor Verleese, who are doing everything behind the scenes, my name is Rob Dauster. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Field of 68.